welcome. So this is the next page of my coloring, for my coloring book. So I'm just going to go in and just kind of touch up some things here. Create more details. And get rid of some things here. So this image came to me. Sometimes, I will just draw things whenever there are suspicious activity going on. If I hear something, if things are going on and I don't understand what's going on, I will revert to art therapy. Okay, so the subconscious mind has a lot to do with imagery, and that is also the part of the brain that is telling us, well, we don't, those are the things that we are unaware of, the things in which that exists within the subconscious mind. Okay, so there's definitely been some strange activity. So earlier, I want to say maybe yesterday or the day before, I decided to just let go and just draw, to just kind of see what was happening. So this is the image in which that came to me. Okay, so I'm just going to go in and just kind of work on cleaning it up. Okay, so I mean, I have no idea, but I have a feeling I really don't want to know what this image is all about. But whenever dealing with warfare, I also get my inspiration from warfare. Okay, and sometimes the subconscious mind is trying to communicate with us. Well, I know me personally, so, we've been talking about and getting into past lives. So, the focus has been on this coloring book. So we're just gonna continue. Okay. So the connection in which that I was making, has now been cut off due to some spiritually unlawfully activity. Okay. So this is my way of cutting things off and just kind of bowing out of the situation with grace. Because of course I've picked up on some things that have been going on, and I know that I'm hard to understand, and some individuals, they really don't have the control, or they don't have the understanding of me, but I have a anointing over my life, and therefore, I have to be very careful with who I let in, because individuals can get hurt due to misunderstanding the things that they do and they say, and misunderstanding me. I've seen things that happen to people, and it's, it doesn't make me happy at all. So, this is how I protect other people from me who don't understand or who don't get it. We just kind of just go in with moving on, walking away from situations before they get out of hand or get out of control. Okay. And so when I let go, everybody else in the situation has to let go. And if they choose not to, then, things are out of my hands. So when you have an anointing over your life, you have a little bit of a responsibility to sometimes protect people due to their lack of knowing or understanding. They'll thank you later because it's always revealed to them later on as to why certain things have to happen and go the way in which that it needs to be able to go and happen in order to keep other people safe. Okay. So we are moving on. We are bowing out gracefully from our situation. And we're putting our focus back where it needs to be. And that is on ourselves and minding our business. There's a conversation that needs to be had between two people. Somebody seems to still be in love with someone else. So, we can't get in the way of that. We must allow time to reveal itself. Time is of the essence. And our essence is very important. Okay. So I'm just gonna go in here with this hair. Just kind of shape things up here a bit. Right. I'm going to really enjoy coloring this one. I can't wait to get to it. We cannot rush our process. We must take our time. So I'm just going to go in here with like little details. Here and there. I know that it can be hard letting go of the past. So I fully understand the situation. And I am not interested in seeing anybody get hurt. So a lot of the times, people can think what they want, but a lot of the times when you don't know who somebody is, you don't know the truth of them. And so we'll have a tendency to say things, we'll have a tendency to do things that are unjust and unfair to another person. And you have to be careful about listening to somebody else about who somebody else is. Everybody cannot be fucked with. Everybody cannot be bullied. You can't just look at somebody and think that you know them if you do not have discernment. And sometimes, as much as you want to think you are a good judge of character, sometimes situations will prove to you that you are not a good judge of character. Now, the thing is that there's nothing wrong with having faith in someone, but it's all about the intentions of things. So, when we're dealing with the intentions of things, that's when things get a little sticky, they get a little tricky. Crap. I know that I am a hard person to understand, which is why I stay to myself a lot of the times and I just mind my own business, because I have seen the damage in which people will bring to themselves, sometimes their loved ones, by trying to come for me or speak very ill on my name. I'm quite used to it by this point in time. And I realize that you cannot control anybody. You cannot control what they choose to think of you. One thing I know about human beings, they will absolutely think whatever they want to think. But in the way in which that they think, they don't think in a way of truth or discernment. And when it comes to dealing with individuals who have an anointing over their lives, you have to be very careful about how you treat them, regardless. This is why I try to help individuals with their mental health. I believe I say that a lot. So every time I encounter new connections and misunderstandings happen, sometimes people will create unjust or situations to where, they will experience their own cruelty coming back to them. You know what I noticed about a lot of people? They can dish it, but they sure can't take it. This is why I encourage people, live, let live. If you don't know somebody, just leave them alone. If you don't know what to think of them, then don't force yourself to think anything of them. Just let them be. So, as much as I want to go into detail with this particular drawing, you know, I realized, I said, I want to be able to create space for the imagination. So, in order to do that, there must be space. So, if I get really detailed with things, then we are taking up the space. Okay. Oh, hear the angels calling on night, the divine, oh, so we had a ceremony at work, and there was a young gentleman, it was a teenager from one of the local high schools, and he sang at the ceremony. It was very beautiful. It was what you call a remembrance ceremony for all of the individuals whose loved ones passed, and they used the service, of the funeral home that I work at. I enjoyed the soloists, but I just kept thinking to myself, well, what if he sang opera? That'd be really cool. That's such a beautiful song. And I've heard it so many times through opera. And it just... Now, this young man, his voice was very beautiful. While he was practicing, I felt my I felt my eyes watering. But all I could think about is the sound of the opera pitch and the harmony within that song. He did a very beautiful job, though. So I'm just going to go in here and clean up some of these lines. Here. Okay, here. Here. The angels calling. Just gonna get rid of that. when Christ was born. I'm not really a religious person, but I mean, my background is Christianity, you know. I feel like it really doesn't matter what you believe in. We were all rooted somewhere. And, you don't want to forget your roots. Not that, not in a way to where it keeps you stuck or stagnated, but in a way to where you always have something there to remind you of how far you've come. And being able to reflect on how far you've come, you can look forward to where you're going. Why is it not working? Oh my God, my pen. I have to charge my pen. Oh, great. I was looking so forward to finishing this image. But oh well. I'm going to charge my pen and we'll get to it another time. All right, so until then, we'll talk again. Thank you.